everybody. Welcome to this week's email video. And so this week I got thinking about this because it came into my awareness again this week, this topic did. And I learned something profound, which I think I kind of knew, but it came out in a channeled message. And it's about forgiveness. So stick with me on this because it's very different than, just talking about forgiveness. So what I want to talk about today is what happens when we don't forgive, and of course then what happens when we do. Now, we can talk all day long about the whole human idea of forgiving, some of the horrific things that have happened to people, things that are still going on, why we would ever forgive somebody for the things they're doing now or have done to us in the past. Well, I'm going to talk about this more on a cellular level, I guess I would say, versus a human level. So when we have something that happens to us that someone else has caused in us, a reaction, a feeling, or even, something physical, that affects us, all right, deeply, oftentimes. Now, what we do with that is key afterwards. If we continue to, which many of us do, harbor anger, hatred, unforgiveness in this case, within ourselves, within our bodies, guess what? And if we don't release it, we'll talk about releasing here in a minute, it stays with us. And what I learned this week is it stays with us for more than this lifetime. It carries over into the next lifetime. Now, I'm going to back up a little bit. Early on in my journey, you know how things kind of show up and then you don't figure them out until later with the signs and messages and the awakening? Well, with this one, I was talking to someone else. I think they were a Reiki practitioner, and they made reference to, forgiveness is one of the most difficult things for humans to overcome. And I thought about that, and I was like, Now, I'm just going to say, at least in this lifetime, it just happens. I don't know if I came in with that, but my forgiveness tolerance is high. So I forgive very readily and easily. So I got thinking about this, and I thought, wow, what would that be like if you couldn't forgive or didn't forgive? Anyway, this has come back to me now for me to start thinking about as I've been working in my business, but also as I'm watching other people and understanding how they're handling things in their life. And then me too. How do I continue to forgive even the little things, right? But oftentimes it's these events in our lives that we harbor some kind of unforgiveness. And what we don't understand about forgiveness is we think we are saying, I forgive you and your actions. Your actions were okay, what you did to me, or what was then caused in me. That's okay. No, that's not what it's about. You're releasing yourself by forgiving them. You're forgiving the act of that. You're forgiving them for creating that within you so that you can release it from yourself. You're not saying what you did to me is perfectly fine, go ahead and do it again. No, that's not it. You're letting yourself go. You're letting yourself out of prison. In fact, I have a video, and some of you probably remember it, talks about forgiveness and being that prison that we create for ourselves. But needless to say, as we offer that opportunity, and however you choose to do this, sitting with the things that still are painful and hurt you deeply, they're holding you back. They're really holding us back. But what I learned this week is they're not just holding us back in this life, they're holding us back in future lives. In future lives. Or past lives holding us back now. All right, so let me talk a little bit about this. This came into my awareness this past week very strongly. And darned if I can't find the statement that it came from in a session that I did, because what I was going to do is share that statement, not obviously the person's name, but the statement about forgiveness. But what happened to me is as I'm transcribing the document, And I don't know why this showed up. All of a sudden, oh, I was typing up about a past life, all right? And all of a sudden I heard, and they said it differently, but unforgiveness carries over into the next life. It's a cellular situation, it's a DNA situation. You carry that emotion after you pass from that other life into the next incarnation. And that's a weight on you. And what I'm finding with a lot of clients is past lives are coming through in spades. This is kind of just part of the work that I do. But so much of this is about dealing with that situation that happened in that past life. Now, I realize we don't all know our past lives. This is really kind of a new arena, at least for me, all right? So now these folks are being able to recognize this past life and then think through it, imagine through it, because we don't typically remember it, and be able to deal with letting go in their cellular body, because guess what? Oftentimes it's manifesting in this life as a physical issue, emotional issue, a weighted heaviness that they don't understand. But the point of this is not so much go back and try to figure out your past lives, because that is a process and not that simple. But what you can do in this life, and this is why I'm doing this video today, is sit with what you know in this life and think about who you haven't forgiven. And sometimes it's the tough ones, right? Really tough. And think about what this will do for yourself. And as you go through the awakening, we understand the journey, the life journey, quite a bit differently. We understand where soul is taking a journey, taking on roles at times that we don't even understand why they're taking on roles, some that are really difficult. And therefore are learning oftentimes. So what I was told in this reading then was forgiveness carries over into a future life. Well then, so here I am transcribing this document. I get this knowing. And the next paragraph, and I don't remember my channelings because I'm in another space, and then when I go back to transcribe them, information pops back in. It's like it's new. Well, what happened was the next paragraph was all about forgiveness now for that life and what it does to you cellularly. So I'm like, oh my gosh, talk about a synchronicity. Not only do I get it in this document that I had forgotten about in a session because I was at this high vibe place coming back in to transcribe it, I get the information ahead of time before I see it again. And again, this is another confirmation from information I've received in the past, which all of this just coalesced, and I had this aha moment where I knew that we carry this over. And then it was confirmed to me as I was having this conversation. But my point to you today is, think about this, because right now in our lifetimes, and I have some of this too, I just don't have a lot of big stuff, but I have little things. And sometimes those are the most difficult, right? Think about the issues that you've encountered in your life with other people where you just are not forgiving. And like I said, we understand this journey differently now since we're going through awakening. And we understand that it's about releasing a lot of things from our lives that weigh us down, that cause us difficulty during the awakening, because it is about ascending out of this human experience in the sense of the weightedness, the emotional baggage we carry. But we don't carry it just from this life. And it's forgiveness that shows, unforgiveness that shows up from past lives. And we have a lot of that. But the thing is, you can deal now with the current life. That's so important. In fact, it's our most important life because that's what we're living right now, right? They're the one that we're consciously aware of. And we could talk all day about time, right? So what I want you to do, if you would like to participate, is sit down in your next meditation or, just go sit somewhere calmly. Spend some time with a few things, and you can even write this down. I would say pick 3 things or 3 people that you haven't forgiven, even if it's little stuff. It's itching, and if it's painful and hurtful, this is your time to be able to take it and sit with it. You might not process it all in one time at all, but then feel it deeply. You might get really emotional, feel it deeply, and the point is letting go of that pain and suffering that you're harboring in yourself for not forgiving. And so consequently, what then is recommended is, and I've mentioned this before in some of my other videos, is a little ceremony where you can really formalize this. And in the full moon, the next full moon would be super to do this with because we just had a full moon. and you'll be able to work through some of these unforgiveness situations, sit with them for a while, and then take that opportunity to, I don't know, light a white candle, sit in the full moon, and if it's in your window at your home, and give gratitude for those experiences coming into your life in the sense of learning, and yet at the same time then forgiving what has occurred in your being from that action of the other. All right, and let that go into the full moon while giving gratitude for that. And it may be very, very hard to do. And if you can't do that, you can't do that, right? You're just not there. But my point here in this video today is it has been made crystal clear to me that this is one of the biggest things in humankind that hold people back: forgiveness. We do not forgive easily or well, and lots of times we stuff it down, and guess what happens? It only bubbles up during the awakening. So if you're wondering about why some things are happening now, you might be able to figure out what it actually is, and that it has to do with forgiveness. Because again, as I said, it's one of the biggest struggles we have in humankind. So again, I wish I could have found the actual paragraph about what they said about this, and darned if I can, and I don't remember which session it was, but I think you get my drift. I hope this is helpful to you, because it was a very, very big aha moment for me, putting together so much that I've understood from the past of signs and messages I've received in my awakening, and now this big blossoming of this aha moment. And I wanted to share this with you. So take this, run with it, see how it works out for you. And you are welcome to share how this turned out for you. You can email me at Carolyn@purplerainhealing.com if you just want to share, or you can post it on this as a comment too. So anyway, that's what I have for you today, and I hope you've enjoyed this message, and I will see you in the next week's video. Thank you.